Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Anita Anand with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to attend 12th BRICS Summit and to address the 3rd Annual Bloomberg New Economy Forum today. In Bihar, the first session of newly elected Legislative Assembly to be convened from the 23rd of November. 15th Finance Commission presents its report to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Delhi government decides to reduce the number of people in the wedding ceremony to 50, also proposes market restrictions due to the rising cases of COVID-19. National COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 93.42%. And first solar power textile mill in Asia to come up in Parbhani district of Maharashtra. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the 12th BRICS Summit today hosted by Russia under the theme Global Stability, Shared Security and Innovative Growth. The meeting will be held in a virtual format. A report.
The 12th summit is being held in the backdrop of the 75th anniversary of the United Nations and in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Leaders would be discussing intra-BRICS cooperation and key issues in the global context, including the reform of the multilateral system, measures to mitigate the impact of the ongoing pandemic, cooperation in counter-terrorism, trade, health, energy, and people-to-people exchanges. India will be taking over the chairship of the BRICS. Since its inception, it would be the 3rd BRICS presidency for India after 2012 and 2016. India will host the 13th BRICS summit next year. With Suparna Saikia, Tripti Srivastav, AIR News, Delhi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver an address at the 3rd Annual Bloomberg New Economy Forum this evening. The Bloomberg New Economy Forum was established in 2018 by Michael Bloomberg. It seeks to build a community of leaders to engage in real conversations leading to actionable solutions about the critical challenges facing a world economy in the throes of historic transition. The inaugural forum was held in Singapore and the 2nd annual forum was hosted in Beijing. These covered a range of topics including global economic management, trade and investment, technology, urbanization, capital markets, climate change and inclusion. This year, as the world economy is grappling with the COVID-19 pandemic, the forum will witness discussions centered on refueling the economy and charting a course for the future.
In Bihar, the first session of the newly elected 17th State Legislative Assembly will be convened from 23rd of November. The session will conclude on 27th of this month. The decision in this regard was taken in the first meeting of the newly constituted State Cabinet today. The meeting was chaired by Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. All the other 14 members of the Council of Ministers were present in the Cabinet meeting held at the Chief Minister's Secretariat in Patna. More from our correspondent.
During the 5-day session of Bihar Assembly, several legislative businesses including election of Pro Tem Speaker and Speaker will take place. The Pro Tem Speaker will administer the oath of membership of the House to the newly elected members. The session of the state legislature will formally start with a joint meeting of both the houses. Governor Phagu Chauhan will address the joint meeting. Meanwhile, the allocation of portfolios among newly inducted ministers of the state Cabinet has not been finalized. It is likely to be announced today as hectic brainstorming is underway about the distribution of departments among the 4 allies of NDA. 7 ministers have been inducted in the Council of Ministers from BJP quota. JDU has 5 ministers and 2 cabinet berths have been given to Vikashil Insan Party and Hindustani Awam Morcha. Dharmendra Kumar Rai, AIR News, Patna.
Special cell of Delhi police has nabbed 2 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists and foiled a major attack in the national capital. Officials are now questioning the 2 terrorists arrested from Sarai Kale Khan area. According to the police, a trap was laid near Millennium Park in Sarai Kale Khan around 10:15 p.m. last night. The 2 terrorists, who are residents of Jammu and Kashmir, were apprehended along with 2 semi-automatic pistols and 10 live cartridges.
In Telangana, election schedule for the Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation (GHMC) has been announced. polling for the 150 ward corporation will be held on the 1st of December through ballot system. State Election Commissioner C. Parthasarthi announced this at a press conference in Hyderabad today. The reservation of wards under various categories will continue as they were in the last elections. The nominations will be received within a span of 3 days from tomorrow. The tenure of the present body will come to an end in February next year. The GHMC election is crucial for all political parties as it houses the state capital with about 1 crore population and ever-expanding corporation limits. A report.
The recent heavy rains and urban flooding in Hyderabad attracted global attention for different reasons. But this time the focus is on elections for Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation. Though the tenure for the current corporation is going to end in February next year, the State Election Commission has announced the schedule today, planning to complete the entire election process by the time of the ending of its tenure. The state government has already made several changes in the state municipal laws to enable to retain the same political reservations for various categories like women, SC and ST in the 150 divisions Baldia. Hyderabad mayor will be allotted for a woman in general category this time. Municipal elections for Hyderabad gains importance as major political parties in the state always try to capture the cooperation of Telangana state capital. Lakshmi, AIR News, Hyderabad.
In Maharashtra, the first solar-powered enabled textile mill in Asia is coming up in Parbhani district. The project, once functioning, will provide jobs to many women in the district. Our correspondent has more details.
The Jai Bhavani Women's Cooperative Textile Mill will be the first in Asia that will operate on solar power. Spread across 30 acres of land, the mill will process cotton to cloth. Chairman of the textile mill, Dr. Samapriya Rahul Patil, said that the finest quality cotton will be procured from Parbhani itself. Parbhani is the leading cotton producing district in Maharashtra. Also, producing cotton is seen as a profitable investment because of which majority farmers grow the crop. Ginning, pressing, weaving and spinning of cotton will be done in the mill. Dr. Patil said that the cost of the project is 100 crore rupees and with the operationalization of the mill, it will certainly give momentum to the industrial sector in the district. With Vinod Kapsikar from Parbhani, this is Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Maharashtra, a major fire broke out in a godown in suburban Andheri area of Mumbai. A civic official said the incident occurred this morning at around 8:45 at a godown in Sakinaka area of Andheri. He said the fire later spread to a few hutments in the neighbouring slum area. A fire brigade official said 9 fire engines, 6 jetties and 2 water tankers, along with an ambulance, were rushed to the spot. Civic officials said firefighting is underway and no casualty or injuries have been reported so far. The exact cause of the fire is yet to be ascertained. The 15th Finance Commission today presented a copy of its report to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. The report, titled Finance Commission in COVID Times, deals with the ratio in which the taxes are to be divided between the centre and the states in the upcoming next 5 years. The report will be tabled in the Parliament by the Finance Minister along with an action-taken report of the government. The chairman and members of the commission had submitted the report for the period 2021-22 to 2025-26 to Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday. Earlier, the commission had submitted its report to President Ramnath Kovind on 9th of November of this month. The report has been finalized after wide-ranging consultations with the union and state governments, local governments, chairmen and members of previous finance commissions, advisory council to the commission and other domain experts, academic institutions of eminence and multilateral institutions. This report has been organized in 4 volumes. Volume 1 and 2 contain the main report, whereas Volume 3 is devoted to the union government, which examines the medium-term challenges and the roadmap ahead. Volume 4 is entirely devoted to the states. The Commission has analyzed the finances of each state in great depth and has come up with state-specific considerations to address the key challenges that individual states face.
An urgent meeting of the Law Committee of the Goods and Services Tax GST Council has been convened tomorrow in New Delhi to discuss in detail the issue of fake invoices to claim input tax credit under the indirect tax regime. The meet will deliberate on ways to further tightening of the GST registration process and work out other legal measures, including necessary law amendment required in GST Act to do away with the menace of fake invoicing. This meeting is part of the nationwide drive against the GST fake invoice frauds, under which in the last 4 days, Director General of GST Intelligence, DGGI has arrested 25 persons, including 2 professionals, identified about 1,180 entities and booked 350 cases against unscrupulous elements involved in availing and passing on of ineligible input tax credit ITC fraudulently. The fake invoices were not only issued for availing or passing on of the ITC, but were also used as a conduit of nefarious activities leading to tax evasion, massive bank loan fraud, money laundering and hawala transactions.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to attend 12th BRICS Summit and to address 3rd Annual Bloomberg New Economy Forum today. In Bihar, the first session of newly elected Legislative Assembly to be convened from 23rd of November. 15th Finance Commission presents its report to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Delhi government decides to reduce the number of people in the wedding ceremony to 50. Also proposes market restrictions due to the rising cases of COVID-19. National COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 93.42%. And first solar-powered textile mill in Asia to come up in Parbhani district of Maharashtra. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
The country's COVID-19 recovery rate has reached around 93.42%. During the last 24 hours, more than 40,000 COVID patients have recovered. Health Ministry said the total number of recoveries has gone up to over 82,90,000. The actual caseload currently comprises only 5.11% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is around 4,53,000. During the past 24 hours, 29,164 new cases were reported, taking the total number of positive cases in the country to over 88 lakh. The ministry said that effective implementation of the strategic and graded test, track and treat approach has led to higher recoveries and lower fatality. Currently, India's case fatality rate is at 1.47%, which is one of the lowest globally. During the last 24 hours, 449 deaths were reported, taking the toll to 1,30,519. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, more than 8,44,000 tests were conducted during the last 24 hours. The total number of samples tested so far has reached 12 crore 65 lakh. Ministry of Home Affairs has said that multidisciplinary teams have been constituted to visit all private hospitals in Delhi to check the status of compliance of various directions issued by the Union Health Ministry for testing and treating COVID patients and led by Delhi government to contain the spread of COVID-19. The ministry said that teams will start the visit immediately and they will submit the reports within 2 days along with specific details. The teams have been given a list of tasks and have to report to MHA whether the private hospitals have wards and ICU beds in accordance with orders issued by the Delhi government, and it has been displayed on Corona dashboard of the Delhi government on a real-time basis. The teams will also be checking any violations. Delhi High Court last week vacated a stay imposed by a single judge bench on Delhi government's order on the reservation of 80% ICU beds in 33 private hospitals for COVID-19 patients.
A total of 3,797 new confirmed cases of coronavirus infection were reported in Delhi during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 4,89,202. According to Delhi Health Department, 3,560 recoveries have been reported in Delhi, taking the number of recovered patients to 4,41,361. The death toll due to COVID-19 in the national capital reached to 7,713 after 99 deaths were reported in Delhi in the last 24 hours. There are 40,128 active cases in the national capital. As per the department, 11,810 RT-PCR, CBNAA/TrueNet tests and 18,011 rapid antigen tests were conducted yesterday, taking the total number of tests to 54,79,391. Meanwhile, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal today said that the government has taken the decision to reduce the number of people in the wedding ceremony to deal with the rising cases of COVID-19 in the city. Addressing a press briefing in New Delhi, Mr. Kejriwal said the government has taken the decision to allow only 50 persons in the wedding ceremony. He said earlier the limit was 200, which were allowed in accordance with the guidelines issued by the central government. He said the proposal has been sent for the approval of Lieutenant Governor of Delhi. He added that a proposal will also be sent to the central government to seek the permission for imposing limited restrictions in the marketplaces as a safety measure. Appreciating the help given by the central government to contain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, Mr. Kejriwal said 750 ICU additional beds will provide great help to the people of Delhi. In Uttar Pradesh, the spread of coronavirus infection is decreasing day by day and recovery rate is increasing continuously. The state government has decided to remain extra vigilant in district bordering National Capital Region. More from our correspondent.
There has been an increase in number of COVID patients in the districts which have border with National Capital Region, and extra precautions are being taken in those areas. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has repeatedly asked officials to take utmost caution in state capital Lucknow and Meerut districts. Additional Chief Secretary Health Amit Mohan Prasad said that despite of the less number of new COVID active patients coming up in the state, the testing numbers remain same and there is no leniency. Recovery rate of COVID patients in state has further increased to 94.15%, which is higher than the national average. In last 24 hours, 1,546 new cases surfaced in state, taking the total active COVID patients tally to 22,603. Highest 231 new cases were found in Lucknow, while Meerut was on the second position with 168 patients. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Assam, over 50 lakh COVID-19 tests have been conducted across the state. State Health Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma said that the first testing laboratory was set up in the state on 7th of February, and after that, due to the efforts of all concerned, the milestone was achieved. Meanwhile, 186 positive cases were reported after nearly 20,000 tests have been conducted in the last 24 hours. Assam has recorded 97.90% recovery rate. There are nearly 3,500 active cases in the state as of now. In Tripura, 18 new cases of coronavirus were detected in the past 24 hours, while 76 patients were discharged after recovery during the period. With this, the total number of infected people rose to 31,963, while 30,608 infected people recovered from the disease. As of today, 968 infected people are undergoing treatment in different COVID care centers. Alongside this, the recovery rate is improved to 95.83%. The State Health Bulletin stated that 4,94,630 samples have been tested so far. Out of the total samples tested, 4,62,667 persons have been found negative.
Telangana reported 952 fresh COVID cases during the past 24 hours. With this, the total COVID cases reported in the state has gone up to 258,828. The state conducted over 38,000 tests yesterday. The recovery rate slightly improved to 94.14%, with 1,602 more people recovering yesterday. In the Union Territory of Puducherry, the downward trend in coronavirus infection continued, with 72 new cases being reported today. More from our correspondent.
According to the COVID-19 status report released by the Health Department, the recovery rate touched 96.01% and the fatality rate stands at 1.67%. No case of death reported today. Meanwhile, as many as 131 persons were discharged from hospitals. Presently, 256 persons are being treated in hospitals and another 587 positive cases are under home isolation in all the 4 regions of the Union Territory. So far, 36,409 persons were infected by the virus, of which 34,958 were treated and discharged and 608 died. Chandramohan, AIR News, Puducherry.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on the 29th of this month. It will be the 71st episode of the monthly radio program. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he has already received many interesting inputs and anecdotes about inspiring life journeys. Prime Minister has asked people to keep sharing their thoughts on the Namo app, MyGov, or record the message in either Hindi or English on 1800117800. People can also give a missed call on 1922 and follow the link received in SMS to directly give their suggestions to the Prime Minister. Some of the recorded messages may become part of the broadcast. Home Minister Amit Shah today hit out at Congress and the Gupkar alliance, alleging that they want to take Jammu and Kashmir back to the era of terror and turmoil. He said they want to take away rights of Dalits, women and tribals that Centre has ensured by removing Article 370. In a series of tweets, Mr. Shah said the Gupkar gang is going global and they want foreign forces to intervene in Jammu and Kashmir. He accused the Gupkar alliance of insulting India's tricolour. He asked senior Congress leaders Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi to make the stand clear whether they support such moves of the Gupkar gang. The minister asserted that Jammu and Kashmir has been, is and will always remain an integral part of India. He added that Indian people will no longer tolerate an unholy global Gathbandhan against the national interest.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Principal Secretary of Horticulture Department Naveen Kumar Chaudhary chaired the state-level executive meeting of Mission for Integrated Development of Horticulture (MIDH) in Srinagar yesterday. The meeting held detailed discussion on representation regarding provision of back-ended subsidy support to Integrated Controlled Atmosphere (ICAS) store projects lying with Union Government and relevance of feasibility for consideration of more than one unit CA store to same proprietor. More from our correspondent.
Principal Secretary Naveen Kumar Chaudhary asked all the district officers of the Horticulture Department to perform on ground with positive framework and directed them to clear all the liabilities pending with the department. Earlier, Chief Secretary BVR Subramaniam, while participating in the meeting, was briefed regarding the horticulture economy of Kashmir. He said that horticulture is a gold mine that has to be exploited and developed properly to make Jammu and Kashmir powerhouse of horticulture production. He asked the officers to work hard towards increasing horticulture economy for the larger interest of the farmers community. This is Sunil Kohl for AR News from Srinagar.
In Tamil Nadu, the hill resort town of Kodaikanal has been fully reopened for tourists today. For the past 2 months, guests were allowed only in a few places there due to the COVID-19 induced restrictions. They included the 3 horticulture farms and parks like the Bryant Park and Corker's Walk. The scenic places that came under the Forest Department control remained closed down so far. However, the officials have today reopened them also, including the Moor Point, Pine Forest and the Guna Caves from today. With this, the whole assortment of picnic spots in the all-weather destination have become accessible for tourists.
The air quality in the national capital has improved significantly from poor category to moderate category. The city has been struggling with very poor air quality since the beginning of the winter season, and it worsened during Diwali. According to the Central Pollution Control Board, the city's air quality index was recorded 165 at 10 a.m. An air quality index between 201 and 300 is considered poor, 301 to 400 very poor, and 401 to 500 severe. According to the System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research, SAFAR, the surface winds are west-southwesterly and energetic, which is very favorable for pollutant dispersion. Rainfall, along with stronger winds under the influence of western disturbance, help to clean the build-up of pollution in the Indo-Gangetic Plain. It said stubble burning share in PM 2.5 in Delhi's air is almost negligible and estimated at 3% for today. SAFAR has predicted that the air quality is likely to marginally deteriorate and will reach in poor category tomorrow. The second phase of Exercise Malabar 2020 will begin today in the Northern Arabian Sea, taking forward the synergy achieved in the recently concluded Phase 1 of Exercise Malabar 2020, which was conducted earlier this month. This phase will involve coordinated operations of increasing complexity between the navies of Australia, India, Japan and the United States. Phase 2 will witness joint operations centered around the Vikramaditya Carrier Battle Group of the Indian Navy and Nimitz Carrier Strike Group of the US Navy. The 2 carriers, along with other ships, submarine and aircraft of the participating navies, would be engaged in high-intensity naval operations over 4 days. These exercises include cross-stack flying operations and advanced air defense exercises by MiG-29K fighters of Vikramaditya and F-18 fighters and E-2C Hawkeye from Nimitz. In addition, advanced surface and anti-submarine warfare exercises, seamanship evolutions and weapon firings will also be undertaken to further enhance interoperability and synergy between the four friendly navies.
Tamil Nadu and Puducherry received widespread rains in the last 24 hours. The port city of Thoothukudi received a maximum of 17 centimeters of rain in the last 24 hours. Various parts in Chennai also experienced light rain extending to several hours yesterday. The latest weather bulletin from the Met Department in Chennai said a cyclonic circulation is being observed over the Maldives and its neighborhood, extending over 900 meters above the mean sea level. The Southeast Arabian Sea also has a similar cyclonic circulation. Under the influence of the weather systems, heavy rain is likely to occur at isolated places in the 8 districts of Nagapattinam, Pudukkottai, Sivagangai, Ramanathapuram, Thoothukudi, Tirunelveli, Tenkasai and Kanyakumari for the next 24 hours. In the meantime, Tamil Nadu government has identified 4,133 places in the state as vulnerable to floods. The State Revenue Minister R.B. Uday Kumar told reporters in Chennai this morning 321 of them are the most vulnerable, for which special attention is being provided during the prevailing northeast monsoon. He said the monsoon brings 47.32% of the total rainfall in the state. It began this year on 28th of October and remains deficient by 37% so far. However, weather officials said the rainfall activity may gain momentum later as the season runs through the end of December. In Jammu and Kashmir, Disaster Management Authority has issued a medium danger avalanche warning for the higher reaches of Kupwara and Bandipora districts. It also said that the low danger avalanche warning continues to exist for the higher reaches of Baramulla and Ganderbal districts. The people living in these avalanche-prone areas have been advised to take precautionary measures and not to venture out in the avalanche-prone areas.
This festive season has yielded great dividends to the Khadi artisans with a record sale of Khadi products. In just 40 days since 2nd October, Khadi's single-day sales figure has crossed 1 crore mark for 4 times at the flagship Khadi India outlet at Connaught Place in New Delhi. On the 13th of November, the total sale at this outlet stood at 1.11 crore rupees, the highest single-day sales figure recorded this year. Now let us take a look at the weather update for today. The national capital will have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature is recorded at 14 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 25 degrees. In Mumbai, sky will be clear. The minimum temperature in the metropolis was 22 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 35 degrees. Chennai will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The temperature will hover between 23 and 30 degrees Celsius. Kolkata is expected to have mainly clear sky with temperature varying between 21 and 32 degrees Celsius. On to the north in Srinagar, there will be mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature was 2 degrees Celsius while maximum will be around 14 degrees. In Jammu, lower level of temperature was 10 degrees Celsius while upper level will be around 23 degrees. There will be mainly clear sky. In Leh, sky will be mainly clear becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Minimum temperature was minus 7 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 12 degrees. Gilgit will experience generally cloudy sky with light rain, with temperatures hovering between 0 and 13 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, there will be mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 5 and 19 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 10 and 25 degrees Celsius. There will be mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Chandigarh will have mainly clear sky. Temperature will hover between 11 and 24 degrees Celsius. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature was 20 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 30 degrees. The city will have partly cloudy sky with haze. Ahmedabad will see a clear sky. Patna will have mainly clear sky with temperature hovering between 17 and 29 degrees Celsius. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to attend 12th BRICS Summit and to address 3rd Annual Bloomberg New Economy Forum today. In Bihar, the first session of newly elected Legislative Assembly to be convened from the 23rd of November. 15th Finance Commission presents its report to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Delhi government decides to reduce the number of people in the wedding ceremony to 50, also proposes market restrictions due to the rising cases of COVID-19. National COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 93.42%. And first solar-powered textile mill in Asia to come up in Parbhani district of Maharashtra. And with that, we end the Midday News.